Although most workers expect to retire later, 65 or older, only about a quarter of them do. The actual age, the average age of retirement is 62. So you say, well, why are people doing that? I have a plan to work till I'm 65, 67, 70, some of those later times, so I can take a bigger Social Security check. Good plan, but it doesn't always work out. Hey folks, this is Colin Richards, president and founder of Lord & Richards. And once again, I am excited to be with you on this episode of the Lord & Richards Show. And today we're going to be talking about another one of the key differentiators that you're going to discover when you sit down with the good folks at Lord & Richards. At Lord & Richards, we're helping people just like you every single day to retire financially independent. That means never having to work again to do the things that you love with the people that you love and in the places that you love for all the reasons that are important to you. That's what we consider financial independence. It's not retiring in your 20s. If that's what you choose to do, fine. But for most folks, that happens a little bit later in life. And we're excited every time we can sit down and help you on that journey. And we are comprehensive in our planning. At Lord & Richards, we cover all the critical areas that are vital for you to succeed, from tax and estate planning all the way back to making sure you don't lose your money during market downturns. In our previous segments, we talked about the vital necessity of having a distribution specialist, somebody who focuses on income and never running out of your money in your corner when you're doing this planning. You can do it yourself, but you need to learn all the key things that you're going to have to address. That means developing a plan for Social Security, inflation, taxes, on and on. And that plan needs to work seamlessly and blend seamlessly together with the financial tools that you put into that plan. You see, if you've got a great plan, but your financial tools don't cooperate, say maybe you lose some of your money during a market downturn, that can throw off the whole thing and rapidly decrease what we call your probability of success. That is, of never running out of money before you run out of life. So let's get this straight, right? As part of developing a plan, you need to have a distribution plan that takes in every area of income and every area of expense that you're going to face in retirement. Within that, you also need to address one of the things that most of us would rather not talk about, right? We'd rather talk about the fun times, the holidays, maybe taking a cruise with your family or your loved one, maybe being able to spend more time with the grandkids or pursue more hobbies. That's what we like to spend our time talking about. And if you come into our offices, you're not going to find blaring television news shows. You're going to see fascinating landscapes and places that you might choose to escape to. They're actually places that I've enjoyed escaping to myself. And so I can tell you a lot about our journeys. But sometimes we got to face up to the realities of getting older. You see, one of the blessings of the great healthcare that we've been receiving over the last 20 plus years is that people are living longer. And this has been a steady climb in longevity. And that's great, right? We're all for that. And I love it the way Moses blessed the tribe of Asher in the book of Deuteronomy when he said, as your days, so will your strength be, right? That's my prayer. God, I don't want to waste away and become an old man. I want to, have joy and fulfillment and retirement as an elderly gentleman, somebody who still has physical vitality, mental acuity, and so forth. But one of the things that happens is parts wear out, right? We can do everything that we can, but at some point parts are going to wear out. And unfortunately, they're not all replaceable. Some are, hips, knees, and so forth. But there does come a time when we may need the help of others. I know we don't want to talk about that. I know we don't want to face that reality, but we may need that. And there are some really significant statistics that should help you make this a priority now while you're young and vital to take steps to put measures in place to make that period of your life as enjoyable as possible. The longevity is real. 72% of couples right now in their mid-60s are going to have one of them live to 90 somewhere in your 90s. 44% will make it to 95, one of you at least. That's a long time. For many retirees, that's going to be a 30-year retirement. That means we got to stretch your money like taffy and make it spread out over those years and never run out. And we've also got to deal with rising costs, though, right? Although most workers expect to retire later, 65 or older, only about a quarter of them do. The actual age, the average age of retirement is 62, very much in alignment with the Social Security early retirement age when you can first collect benefits. You say, well, why are people doing that? I have a plan to work till I'm 65, 67, 70, some of those later times so I can take a bigger Social Security check. Good plan, but it doesn't always work out. I work with clients every day who maybe their company downsized and they got laid off. That's about a third of people retire earlier because of that. Or maybe their health keeps them from being able to do that job full time. That's another third. And those who care for their spouse represent another key segment. Maybe it's not you, but your spouse or a family member is needing your help. Here's what we find. Most people, whether they retire early or not, are going to go through the following phases in their retirement relative to your activity level. We call the first phase, the first decade, your go-go years, right? You're spending the same budget probably that you were already on or more before you retired. This is why it's so critical not to listen to those people on the TV or the pundits who say, oh, plan on backing down on your expenses. That may come later. But for right now, you need to plan for a full budget in your retirement years, realizing that as you get older, we're going to slow down a little bit. So the next decade we call the slow-go years, right? We're still doing things. We're still enjoying the people that we love, but maybe we're doing it a little bit less. And some of those extra trips aren't happening that we normally would take and so on. So at that point, we can gauge maybe a 20% to 30% decrease in your expenses. But don't be absolutely sure, all right? In our retirement plans for you, we count on you spending right up to the end, whether you live to 70 or 100. And then we have the won't go years. This is usually in your 80s when somebody maybe is still very active, but you've got a spouse that's just not really on the move. And a lot of times you're going with, let's face it, the other ladies, right? A lot of times it's the men who slow down in their 80s. Now it can be the other way. But our healthcare has definitely gotten our budget back up. Whether you saw that dip in the prior decade, you're going to see that budget go back up. So health costs are going to be a challenge. Now, in the next two segments, I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about the kinds of costs and the things that you can do to address them. But here's what you should be taking away from this brief segment. We are specialists at this at Lord & Richards. I can't tell you how many times I'm disappointed to hear that people are working with generalists, people who are just focused on investments, and they really don't do anything else. And let's face it, that's the majority of people who come to see me. Most advisors out there, bless their heart, they're not fiduciaries. They're not required to act in your best interest. They're not retirement and income and healthcare specialists. They don't focus on how to protect you during down markets. That's our specialty, is getting you all the way through that wonderful but dangerous time if you're not prepared. I'd love to talk to you more about this. We're talking to people like you every single day, and we're excited to help you become financially independent. Just give us a call.